You can see it's not quite 20 to 6 and I'm beginning my journey down the mountain to the market. Always go pretty early because of it gets too hot to walk back later. And my wife's not coming with me today, so it's just me going down. I'll buy a few things, get a bit of money out of the bank, and that's about it. I've already heard Lucky, the neighbour's cat that we feed, shouting outside because he wants feeding, but he didn't spot me coming out of the door that I did, so he's not been fed yet. And what you will notice is that it's now the middle of the dry season, so everything will be very dry, unlike the last time that I did this walk, which was at the beginning, the end of the rainy season, the beginning of the dry season. And yeah, it's looks very different. Then it was very green. The benefit is there will be a few places where the view is a lot better because there's no foliage. I'm so looking forward to this though, I have to say, because it's some 6 months since I did this walk. And partially it's because I've been in Jakarta and not actually been here. But the other reason is that I've not been at all well for around 6 months. The other part of it is my brother-in-law has been up to his usual mischief, and my wife has been somewhat frightened of him, so she's not wanted me to leave her in the house by herself. But today she's feeling a lot better, and yeah, I've left her in the house. So this is the rice paddy that I normally show to you, and whenever I show it to you, I show you the white rice growing. Well, you can see there's nothing there now. Well, you know, I suppose a few weeds and what have you, and grasses, but yeah, in the dry season there's no crops. And that's the reason why people here in Gunung Kidul are so poor. And that is because during the dry season, it being karst limestone, the water runs straight through the rock here, leaving it very dry. So they're unable to have crops during the dry season, and all the water runs down to the plains towards Jogja and Solo. Since I've last been here, this old house, this old farmhouse, as you can see, has been rendered and had new doors. So it looks rather nice, doesn't it? Yeah. It's sort of a mixture of the modernist style that our house is and a traditional farmhouse style. Very nice. Now, you may remember my friend that's got learning difficulties. Well, this is his home. This is where he lives. Yeah. Pasal. Yeah, that was his home. And I guess that's his brother, who apparently he doesn't get on very well with. Maybe that's why he's always so hungry. And apparently, I don't think there's an inside toilet in their house, so he goes in the field and digs a little hole. But apparently he steals his brother's money and puts it down the hole when he goes to the toilet. I don't think he's keeping it for himself. I think he's just trying to be nasty to his brother. Look at that, you can still see the moon. Yeah, still see the moon. You might recall seeing a little girl who always runs out and waves to me. Always. Don't know if I'll see her today, but this is her house. This is where she lives. And so I've got a little present for her today. Don't know if I'll see her, but you know, if she does run out when I'm on my way back, then I'll give her the present. She's a lovely little thing. It's not uncommon, you know, for those people with learning difficulties and children to befriend me. Whereas the adults are often a little bit more hostile towards, hostile's the wrong word, but a little bit more guarded towards a foreigner. But particularly the young children can be very nice to me. Oh, this is a scene that I think is very beautiful. Very beautiful. Of course, it's not very bright at the moment. Typical farmhouse with the sun rising above it. So that's a lovely view, isn't it? One of the great benefits of there being no vegetation is this view, this valley in particular, which I think is one of the nicest views. On my way down to the Pasar or market, yeah, it goes a long way down. I mean, this is typical, these little valleys, and they have the rice terraces on them. So it actually goes down to the main road, but that's towards Jogja that we're facing. But of course there's a number of mountains in between us and Jogja. It's almost like a ski slope, isn't it? Yeah, beautiful scene. And as I say, normally you can't see much because of the vegetation. Oh, I suppose, yeah, if I flip backwards, you can see the top of the mountain. You see that? And that's where my wife went the other day for the wedding. What really surprised her was how steep it was. You might have heard me saying that. I tried to walk up it once. It was too steep. Maybe I could do it now. Maybe I'm a bit fitter now. But certainly then it was too steep for me. I hasten to add my wife went by car. Now, I'm not sure if this is a masjid or a mashola. It always used to be a mashola, but I think it's been adopted now by NU, the major Islamic grouping in Indonesia. Why I'm a little uncertain is it's not the one I go to, even though it's about the same distance as the actual one I go to. This out to you, this is known as a juggalo. Often they're used as public buildings, as meeting places, but this is one just in a home. They can cost quite a lot of money because of the tiles and the teak that they use to build, but it's not uncommon to have, well, we've got a small juggalo at our house, but not uncommon to have these juggalos, and it's a sort of place where people can sit and cool down, both at night and during the day. Now, on the subject of people having learning difficulties, this is the home of a lady and her brother, both of whom have learning difficulties. Their mother actually lives there as well, and the mother was actually my wife's teacher at school. But for some reason he collects rubbish in his garden. I don't know if it's some scheme that he thinks he'll make some money from it, but clearly he doesn't. It just fills up the garden. They normally run out. I mean, I'm pleased it's quite early, because they normally run out and say hello to me. And he does have a smattering. Well, they both have a smattering of English, not much, but conversation is pretty difficult. Yeah, particularly as he's speaking broken English with a little bit of sorry, broken English with a lot of Bahasa, and I don't know when he's switching, so yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, so here's all the garbage that I mentioned to you. Yeah, and some more garbage here. Can't be much fun for the neighbours, can it? I suppose they're used to it, but I guess there's lots of rats and snakes attracted to it. Not the best thing to do. And I'm really at the top now of what is the longest hill that I go down, or on the way back climb up. And it's a bit of a crusher, because not only is it very steep in parts, but it lasts for such a long time. And you can see it's nearly 6 o'clock now, so a lot of people are passing me on the way to the market. Now, the people who are selling, they'll have come down here at 3 or 4 o'clock, so those are people buying or going about their daily work. And I don't know if you can see in the background, there's a masjid. In fact, it looks like a new masjid. It does. I was going to say that that marks the end of this decline, but I don't think it is. Yeah. Good heavens, yes. It's a brand new masjid. And 6 months ago, it wasn't here. Now, this could simply be a mashola. It's not that big, is it? I don't know, it's about the same size as the masjid I go to. Maybe it is a masjid. There's no sign on it which tells me whether it's NU. Oh, it's Mohammedia, I think. It's Mohammedia. That's possibly the reason, because of the masjid further down in this little village is NU. So it would make sense that they'd have a Mohammedia as well. Well, because it's quite a big village, this one, unlike mine, which doesn't actually have a masjid. The masjid I go to is in the next village, or hamlets, I suppose would be a better description of what they are. You can see this is the most grueling part when I come back, and yeah, I sweat like mad. Yes, I do. So we're coming to the house where I have some children friends. But when I first used to start passing it, oh, the dog there always has a good shout at me. Yeah. But yeah, when I first used to pass this house, the children used to come out and shout at me and even throw stones at me. But I've won them round and they're very happy to see me nowadays. You can see some of them were up, but they're just getting up now. It's still not quite 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you can see so much because normally I don't see any of this because of the vegetation. It's so lush normally. And here's something new again. Good heavens, they've tarmacked the road. Yeah, and it's tarmac rather than concrete. Now that's unusual. Normally they're just concreted. I wonder if it will last any longer. There's no quality control on the mixes. And of course the weather here is very brutal. It's either very rainy or very hot. Sometimes both at the same time. But it does mean that road surfaces really don't last. We'll see if this lasts a bit longer, maybe it will. It's strange, you know, not having been here for some 6 months, just how much has changed, particularly that new masjid. And there's some corn drying there. If you see, there's even a zebra crossing here. No, and nobody ever stops at a zebra crossing in Indonesia. It says pelan on it, which means slow. Maybe it'll have some effect, but I've never seen one in a rural area like that before. I was so busy talking about that zebra crossing that it was actually outside my relative's house. You may know my relative. She's the one that sells the raffia animals in Jogja. And we met her in Jogja just a couple of weeks ago, and she says, do come to my house. But she's always selling the raffia animals in Jogja. I don't know when we'll come. Ah, and this is the nursery school. It's Monday, so it will open, but not yet. But I always take the opportunity to wave to the children, say hello to the mothers. Yeah. So do you remember I showed you the new masjid, and I said maybe it's because the main masjid in this village is NU. So this is it, and so we're nearly at the bottom of this little bit of the hill, and they've built what I would call a pasoran. It's an Islamic boarding school. Some people would just call it a mashola, but because people stay there, it's got a different name. And that seems to be popular around here now. I guess with land being so cheap, they're building these Islamic boarding schools. It tends to be people who've moved away, made their money in the cities, and I don't know if they see it as a business or doing their bit for the community. Well, it's hardly the community because they're from away. But yeah, so that's the masjid, quite a big masjid, that one. And you can see we're nearly at the bottom of this little stretch of hill. And you can see here's a lady that comes around selling provisions of a morning. But more important, this is where they make bits for gamelan orchestra. So you can see those gamelan parts there. Yeah, you might remember a vlog I've done showing the man making them. Yeah. And then here we have lots of jati or teak, and you can see some of the teak furniture there that they've made from it. And this really is the bottom of this hill. There you go, you see it, the teak furnishings. Generally speaking, although we've got a lot of teak here, and people are reasonably proficient at cutting down the trees, they're not that proficient at making the furniture. They tend to be better down in the lowland. And here, we're now at what I consider one of the most beautiful views, but with the paddy having gone, it's nothing like as beautiful today. You can see the sun's still trying to come up. It's 6:05 now. But yeah, I always say this is one of the most beautiful sights. I suppose it is beautiful, isn't it, with the sun coming up. but it's so lush and green normally, and well, it's anything but lush and green now. It's almost, you know, this area does remind me of the Pennines where, you know, I used to live in Bradford, well, and Manchester. It does remind me of the Pennines when there isn't much sunlight like this. Of course, there isn't much sunlight in the height of the day in the Pennines, particularly in the winter. This is that lovely scene. Not so lovely without the rice growing, but you can see the terraced paddies very well now. I showed it to you earlier in the morning with the sun coming up and you couldn't really see them so well, but you can see the terraced paddies now very well. It's much nicer when the rice is growing. Now, the last time I did this walk, it was a very sunny day. I mean, it might be a very sunny day today, actually. Although, during the evenings, we've noticed a little nip in the air. I probably mean it's going down to about 26 Celsius, so not that cold at all. But yeah, last time I was struck by being able to see the roofs on those buildings there, but you can see them even better now. There isn't the trees and the foliage interrupting it. Do you know, maybe they put a new roof on it, because I only noticed it the last time I was here. This road continues for a long way, this new road. Got a lot of time into that. And of course, just there is the biggest hill that I have to climb on the way down the mountain as opposed to up. And well, it's not a killer, but you know, it does get the heart going on your way down the mountain. And there you see the paddy. Everything's gone. Same the other side, really. Although, can we see the sun coming through? Yeah. Probably will be quite hot today by the looks of it. I'll just show you this, the village post, because you see that strange long wooden object outside mounted on springs here. That's actually used like a bell, like a wooden bell. And if strangers, oh, there's a smaller one. If strangers are in the village, it rings out at night. So when they released the prisoners at the beginning of COVID, we had those rung regularly, because prisoners would come from hundreds of miles to our village to go thieving. So that was the alarm sound. Realised what's on these gate posts. It's a dragon and a phoenix, isn't it? Or a water dragon, a naga, like they have in Singapore, and a phoenix. So clearly there is a Chinese influence on that motif. Not saying for 1 minute the people here are Chinese, but it's how certain Chinese things do influence the culture of Java. I mean, Indian culture is much more in evidence, but yeah, here's an example of Chinese. And this lovely house here, I mean, they've been doing things and developing it for a long time now, and it really is a lovely, substantial house. Very nice. When I went past it the other day, I sort of cast aspersions to it, but as to where they got the money from. But my wife told me off and said that probably they've got a son or a daughter, or maybe both, working in either Jakarta or Surabaya, and is sending them the money for this. But you can see they're still working on it now. Yeah, well, doing a wonderful job. They really are. Yeah, They got that like juggalo on the balcony there. Nice marble finish there. Really is a wonderful job. I mean, there's other homes here. So maybe it is sons and daughters who are building retirement homes for themselves. I don't know. Maybe my wife's right and I'm wrong to be casting aspersions. Now this new tarmacked road has gone from by my relative's house when I mentioned it, all the way down to here. I mean, it's tarmacked after here, but that already was, because down there is the main road, and this sort of links I don't think it's a main, you'd call it a main road, but not as local a road as our road, and it links to the main road. So this has always been tarmacked, but I mean, the truth is the tarmac now goes almost all the way up to our house. So quite incredible, you know, particularly as this has happened in the 6 months when I've not been walking down to the Passar. And we're nearly there now. We're nearly there now. I'm not as fit as I was when I used to do this every 5 days, and you can hear me panting a bit, even though almost all of it's downhill. This is my friend that paints the Wayang Kulit, and I've not seen him in 6 months, and you can see he's happy to see me. So you can see he's busy painting his Wayang Kulit. He's actually the same age as me and used to be a school teacher, but he's now retired, so he does this. So this really is the start of the village and the start of the market, and you might have spotted quite a few flags, and probably be even more in the village, and that's because we've just had Merdeka, or Independence Day. So there have been celebrations about gaining independence from the Dutch, which are always quite joyous occasions. Lots of fun, probably poking fun at the expense of the Dutch, but yeah, lots of fun. And what I'm surprised, I suppose it's singkong, it's cassava, but there is still produce being sold here in the Passar, but it surely isn't rice anymore. Well, I've just said hello to Mas Perwa and his wife. They were asking me where my wife was. So yeah, it must be singkong. It must be. Surely it's not. Yeah, you can see the sacks there. Yeah, look, the sacks are sort of bulging. They wouldn't be like that with rice. So yeah, we still get crops of singkong most of the year. Now, who do we normally see here? Do you know? Do you know who we normally have sitting here with the old ladies? I think it is her. It is. Yeah, we saw her yesterday, and here she is again. It's Basingkong. Oh, the others want the photo taking of them as well. Yeah. And there's an old man here that would like his photo taking, so we'll take his as well. There you go. But there's Basingkong. Yeah, there she is. Yeah. Dada. So this is the pasar. It's not actually that busy. It's what? It's 6:25. Taking me a little longer to walk, I guess, because I'm not used to it. And I've been recording this. But it's not that late. But it is quite quiet. I don't know why. Sometimes it's very busy. Maybe it's the time of year, maybe it's related to the fact that it's the dry season and people don't have so much money. I honestly don't know. So, yeah, it is quiet. Often I have to struggle to get through here, but not today. And that girl on the telephone always says hello to me in English, but she won't see me today. No. And here we are at the top. I think I just heard a shout morning to us. Yeah. Hello. Hello. I'm just going down to Toko Timor, where I buy coffee. And also my bank is down here, and despite what I heard in Jakarta, I'm pretty certain they're still dispensing cash. I brought plenty of cash with me just in case, but I've not heard any more news on the ATMs not dispensing cash. Hopefully it was a twinkle in the eye of a crazy government and it won't actually be implemented. So there's Toko Timor, where I buy my coffee from, and here's the bank where we get to find out if the ATMs are still working. Now, when I was in Toko Timor, quite apart from coffee, I also bought these rather nice sandals. What do you think? They're lovely, aren't they? Yeah. $2.50 as well. I mean, they're only plastic, but you know, they're very nice style. And you know, I wear plastic because of leather doesn't last in this country. So they're perfect. So it did dispense cash. In fact, they've got a new ATM, and I don't know what to read into that. Somebody took one look at it and decided not to try it. Probably used to the old one and didn't want to risk it, but it looked fine to me. I suppose I was the same. I used the old one because I knew it gave me what I wanted. And you can see the sun's coming up now. So it's only 20 to 7, so I won't get too hot on the way back. I will get a little. I probably won't take... There you go. He wants his photo taken. There you go. Sometimes buy stuff off him. And going back down to Barcinco. There you go. Goodness knows what he's got in his hand, but he wanted to show it to the world. Oh, Barcinco's gone. Or maybe she's off buying something. She's often... You'll remember earlier I showed you a juggalo at a house. Well, here's the village juggalo. So this is more of a meeting place. And you can see, well, it's got the guardian figures either side of it. Hello. And you can see some rather lovely lamps or lights inside it. So this is made of jati. Lovely screen there of jati. Made of jati or teak. And some nice teak furniture inside it. and people are saying good morning to me. So we'll say good morning to them as well. Good morning to YouTube. Good morning to YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, they're most... There you go, they're most intrigued by it. There they are in a warung, wanting to be noticed. Do you know, I find Indonesian people a little bit like this. Maybe it's just because I'm a foreigner, but they remind me of children, the way that they want to be noticed. I mean, you know, it's probably, we should say, a childlike innocence. Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. Look, you see, all of them. You could call it friendliness, but in the cities, it can happen slightly nastier. Karuma saya. Yeah. In the cities, it can take a nastier sort of dimension to it. Not always, but here, you know, it's a childlike innocence and it's friendly enough. So yeah, we begin to walk back home now, and I will sweat, and I deserve it after having not done this in 6 months, don't I? I'll probably be back here in 5 days. You see, the market's every 5 days. I know it's strange. The Javanese calendar is a 5-day calendar, that's why. So, the market's every 5 days, so I tend to come every 5 days. Oh, with the sun coming up, you can see the mountains going towards Jogja there very clearly. Yeah, so we have to cross quite a few of those before we get to Jogja. I think Jogja wouldn't be more than about 40 kilos, but it often takes 2 hours to get there because of the mountain roads and the traffic. And Jogja itself can have a bit of traffic, certainly when we get close. It gets much worse, you know, certainly, yeah. Right, I'm going to turn it off now. So we're on the home stretch now, and you can see it's not even been 2 hours to walk down to the village and buy a few things. But when people ask me to just pop and do this and do that, well, walking for an hour and a half just to pop to do what somebody else wants me to do is nowadays met with short shrift. But yeah, we're just about home.